Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Security Spot. This is episode 2 of Malicious Mondays. We have a bit of a short one. Sorry this is coming out so late. I was kind of busy today with a bunch of other stuff. The school year just started, so that was definitely... it was the first day, so I only really had to just do syllabus stuff. But I was also trying to get homework out of the way. But anyways, enough of my waffling. Hope you guys are having a great day today. And yeah, we've only got really 3 notable articles. The rest are pretty similar to what we've been covering. And I can still cover more articles next week. But anyways, let's get into it. Number 1. The Department of Justice charges a 22-year-old for running the RapperBot botnet behind 370,000 DDoS attacks. That's a lot of attacks. But anyways, for those of you who don't know what a botnet is, a botnet is basically when your computer has been invaded by a different software, and you see like this picture, it's a guy with Doc Ock style tentacles holding up laptops. It's basically a botnet lets someone take control of your computer, then use it as like another web server to start just like spamming a website. Like a lot of websites, not a lot of websites, but some websites will be spammed with so many requests from these botnets that it will crash their web servers because they just can't handle that much web traffic. Like, for those of you who are like anime nerds, if you know about Crunchyroll, you know like certain episodes like that people really like or are really looking forward to. There's so many people tuning in that it just crashes the site and then you just can't use it anymore. It's like that, but like a lot less of an achievement and more malicious and more artificial. So yeah, a 22-year-old man from the U.S. state of Oregon, first time I've ever heard of an attacker in Oregon, has been charged with allegedly developing and overseeing a distributed denial of service DDoS for hire botnet called RapperBot. Oh, that's interesting. So, one time we talked about ransomware as a service. We've talked about in a couple other episodes. This seems to be a DDoS as a service sort of thing. Ethan Foltz of Eugene, Oregon, has been identified as the administrator of the service, which is what the U.S. Department of Justice said. The botnet has been used to carry out large-scale DDoS for hire attacks, targeting victims in over 80 countries since at least 2021. Foltz has been charged with 1 count of aiding and abetting computer intrusions. If convicted, he's going to face a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison. In addition, law enforcement authorities conducted a search of Foltz's residence on August 6, 2025, seizing administrative control of the botnet's infrastructure. RapperBot, which is also called 1111 Botnet and Cowbot, is a botnet that primarily compromises devices like digital video recorders, or DVRs. Some of you younger folks might not have heard of those. Or Wi-Fi routers at scale by infecting those devices with specialized malware, the DOJ said. And clients of RapperBot then issue commands to those infected victim devices, forcing them to send large volumes of DDoS traffic to different victim computers and servers located throughout the world. Heavily inspired by FBot, which is also called Satori, and Mirai botnets. RapperBot is known for its ability to break into target devices using SSH or Telnet. We've gone over these. Telnet is the less secure older brother of SSH. They're both used for remote tunneling. So like from here, I can get into another computer using SSH on command prompts. You know what? I'll show you guys that someday. One of these days. I'll make a video on just using SSH, setting it up and using it. But anyways, using SSH or Telnet brute force attacks and co-opt them into a malicious network capable of launching DDoS. By the way, when it says brute force, it doesn't mean like he literally used brute force. It means that like he spammed a bunch of passwords till he got the right one. To match credentials with certain SSH things. He probably used his botnet, used its computing power to guess these passwords, because you need a lot of computing power for like brute force attacks to succeed. That's why quantum computing is such a big thing, because it's like the first major threat in a long time that the current encryption algorithm that we use has. But that's a story for another day. One day we'll make a quantum computing video. Just watch. We'll get there. Anyways, it was publicly first documented by Fortinet in August 2022, with early campaigns observed as far back as May 2021. A 2023 report from Fortinet detailed the DDoS botnet's expansion into cryptojacking, profiting off the compromised device's compute resources to illicitly mine Monero and maximize value. Earlier this year, RapperBot was also implicated in DDoS attacks targeting DeepSeek and X. Man, these two, always in the spotlight. Foltz and his conspirators have been accused of monetizing RapperBot by providing paying customers access to a powerful DDoS botnet that has been used to conduct over 370,000 attacks targeting 18,000 unique victims across China, Japan, the US, Ireland, and Hong Kong from April 2025 to early August. Amazon Web Services, AWS, one of the many companies that supported the initiative, said RapperBot infected more than 45,000 devices across 39 countries, and that helped identify RapperBot's command and control C2, aka C2, infrastructure and reverse engineer the IoT malware to map its operations and activities. Oh, that's interesting. So it managed to track down all of the infected devices, and then it was able to do that to identify RapperBot's infrastructure, how it works. And then they reverse engineered the malware. You'll see this happen a lot in like higher level cybersecurity stuff. Researchers will reverse engineer malware so that they can use and study it. Anyways, prosecutors also allege that the botnet comprised roughly 65,000 to 95,000 infected victim devices to pull off DDoS attacks that measured between 2 and 3 terabits per second. That's insane. With the largest attack likely exceeding 6 terabits per second. Furthermore, the botnet is believed to have been used to carry out ransom DDoS attacks aiming to extort victims. You know, this is bad, but it is a little impressive. 6 terabits per second, man, this guy, he was on a mission. The investigation traced the botnet to Foltz after uncovering IP address links to various online services that were used by the defendant, meaning Foltz, including PayPal, Gmail, and his internet service provider. Foltz is also said to have searched on Google for references to RapperBot or RapperSpaceBot over 100 times. Alright, clearly he just wanted to, either he was trying to see how much heat was on him, or he really wanted to see just how far his name had traveled. It's probably both, honestly. The disruption of RapperBot is part of Operation Power Off, an ongoing international effort that's designed to dismantle criminal DDoS for high infrastructures worldwide. So there's more of these. Of course there's more of these. But I'll do it for article number 1. Article number 2. Everybody's favorite right to repair opponent, Apple. But don't worry, this is a good Apple story. Apple patches a vulnerability, a zero-day exploit in iOS, iPadOS, and macOS that was exploited in targeted attacks. Apple has released security updates to address a security flaw impacting iOS, iPadOS, and macOS. I always thought iPads also just ran on iOS. I mean, I guess calling it iPadOS makes enough sense. I don't know why I thought it ran. Both operating systems look similar enough that doesn't matter. Anyways, that it has said has come under active exploitation in the wild. The zero-day out-of-bounds write vulnerability, which is tracked as, here's the vulnerability name, with a CVSS score of 8.8. That's a little major, actually. Resides in the image I/O framework and could result in memory corruption when processing a malicious image. Apple is aware of a report that this issue may have been exploited in an extremely sophisticated attack against specific targeted individuals, the company said in an advisory. The iPhone maker said that the bug was internally discovered and that it was addressed with improved bounds checking. The following versions address the security defect: iOS and iPadOS 18.6.2, which is for the iPhone XS and later, iPad Pro 13-inch, iPad Pro 12.9-inch 3rd gen and later, iPad Pro 11-inch 1st gen and later, iPad Air 3rd gen and later, iPad 7th generation and later, and the iPad Mini 5th generation later. And then iPad OS 17.7.10, which is iPad Pro 2nd generation, iPad Pro 10.5-inch, and the iPad 6th generation. Then there's macOS Ventura 13.7.8, Mac OS Sonoma 14.7.8, and Mac OS Sequoia 15.6.8, and these all pertain to Macs that are running these versions of Mac OS. It's currently not known who is behind the attacks and who may have been targeted, but it's likely that the vulnerability has been weaponized as part of highly targeted attacks. With the latest update, Apple has so far fixed a total of 7 0-days that have been abused in real-world attacks since the start of this year. And here they're listed off. Last month, the company also issued patches for a Safari vulnerability, which resided in an open-source component that Google reported as having been exploited as a 0-day in the Chrome web browser. That's a good thing Apple patched these. Say what you will about them, but they're on top of their security. I trust them more than I trust Microsoft, and Microsoft has pretty great security. The only reason I don't trust Microsoft as much is that security is an afterthought to them most of the time. That seems to be a reflection of their design, but we'll talk about that another day, don't worry. Last article, fellas, told you it was a short one. See? Only less than 15 minutes right now. Usually I'd be wasting time up to 33 minutes on article number 2. Alright. DOM-based extension clickjacking exposes popular password managers to credential and data theft. Now, I don't know too much about these types of attacks, DOM-based at least. I know what clickjacking is. But a lot of us, yours truly included, use password managers, which may or may not be a good strategy. I think it's situational, really. But anyways, let's see. Popular password manager plugins for web browsers. I was about to say browser. Have been found susceptible to quickjacking security vulnerabilities that could be exploited to steal account credentials, two-factor authentication codes, and credit card details under certain conditions. You always have to watch out for this more than anything, because in fact, both of these always end up leading to this. Always, every time. The technique has been dubbed Document Object Model, or DOM-based extension quickjacking, by the independent security research Merrick. Sorry, Merrick, I don't think I can confidently say your last name. Who presented the findings at the DEF CON 33 security conference earlier this month. A single click anywhere on an attacker-controlled website could allow attackers to steal users' data, which is credit card details, personal data, login credentials, including TOTP. The researcher said, the new technique is general and can be applied to other types of extensions. That's worrying. Quickjacking, which is also called UI redressing, refers to a type of attack in which users are tricked into performing a series of actions on a website that appear ostensibly harmless, such as clicking on buttons when in reality they are inadvertently carrying out the attacker's bidding. The new technique, detailed by Thoth, essentially involves a malicious script to manipulate UI elements in a web page that browser extensions inject into the DOM. For example, autofill prompts by making them invisible by setting their opacity to 0. In fact, let's show an example of this. Download button diagram. In fact, here. A lot of times you'll see a bunch of ridiculous download buttons. None of them end up being the actual download button, and they might bring with them certain bad things. Oh yeah, you see all these different download buttons. Then there's this icon. You see that one a lot. Sometimes it's not even that. In fact, let's go back. You see which is the real download button, how to spot fake download buttons, and stay safe. A lot of us click fake download buttons without even noticing it. God knows how many of these I've clicked. While that's loading, let's get back to the article. The new technique, detailed by Thoth, essentially involves using a malicious script to manipulate UI elements in a web page that browser extensions inject into the DOM. For example, autofill prompts by making them invisible by setting their opacity to 0. The research specifically focused on 11 popular password manager browser add-ons, ranging from 1Password to iCloud Passwords. How many of you use these? And oh god, iCloud Passwords. I was just talking about Apple's security being better than, oh no. Anyways, all of which have been found to be susceptible to DOM-based extension quickjacking. Collectively, these extensions have millions of users. And oh, look. Let's see, 1Password, Bitwarden, Dashlane, NPass, iCloud Passwords, Keeper, LastPass. Oh man, I've seen a lot of ads for LastPass, like, not recently, but some YouTubers I used to watch really really get a lot of ads for LastPass and use them. I hope they're fine. LogMe once, NordPass, ProtonPass. Oh man, thank goodness I don't use ProtonPass. And RoboForm. To pull off the attack, all a bad actor has to do is create a fake site with intrusive pop-up, such as a login screen or a cookie consent banner, while embedding an invisible login form, such that clicking on the site to close the pop-up causes the credential information to be autofilled by the password manager and exfiltrated to a remote server. Hang on. I need to check something real quick, because I never remember what it's called, but I think it's 1Password. Yeah, what is Google's password manager called? Oh, it's just called Google Password Manager. Okay. Whew. Man, that was scary. Anyways, pull off the attack. All Baxter has to do is create a fake site with an intrusive pop-up, such as a login screen or cookie consent banner, while embedding an invisible login form such that clicking on the site to close the pop-up will cause the credential information to be autofilled by the password manager and exfiltrate the remote server. Oh, this is devious. You know, like, the websites you go to that some of you maybe shouldn't, like all those pop-ups that just show up all over the screen, and you like click or tap them away, you fat finger it or you fat cursor, like God knows how many times I've fat fingered things. Like, look, I'm gonna try to just highlight this paragraph. Easy. Now I'm gonna try to stop at, I was trying to stop at credentials. See, either just like fat finger things on PC and on the phone, especially for me because I have fat fingers. Anyways, this stuff gets exfiltrated to a remote server. All password managers filled credentials not only to the main domain but also to all subdomains, he explained. An attacker could easily find cross-site scripting or other vulnerabilities and steal the user's stored credentials with a single click. 10 out of 11, including TOTP 9 out of 11. In some scenarios, passkey authentication could also be exploited, 8 out of 11. So yeah, this is like 10 out of 11 times this could happen. 9 out of 10 times it was TOTP. And in 8 out of 11 scenarios, this happened. Anyways, following 6 responsible disclosures, here are the 6 password managers that haven't yet patched up this defect. 1Password, Apple iCloud passwords, oh dear, Bitwarden password manager, NPass, LastPass, and LogMe once. That's reassuring. That's not good. So to all of you out there who use these password managers, especially the ones that weren't fixed, like this list right here, this lovely list, do yourself a favor and start changing your passwords. I would at least. Anyways, software supply chain security firm Socket, which independently reviewed the research, said Bitwarden, NPass. Sorry, I'm kind of sleepy. And iCloud passwords are actively working on fixes, while 1Password and LastPass mark them as informative. It has also reached out to US CERT to assign the CVE identifiers for the identified issues. Until these fixes are available, it's advised that users disable the autofill function in their password managers and only use copy and paste. And for Chromium-based browser users, if you don't know what Chromium is, it's like Google Chrome, but sort of more lightweight. You'll see Chromium used on things like Kali Linux or Calyx OS, Calyx OS is great. I used to use it. The only thing I didn't like was certain features that I lost out on, but it is very privacy focused, really good for your phone's privacy. If you guys are interested in Calyx OS, I might make a tutorial. There are tutorials out there. It's really easy to do, especially on Google Pixel. I might show you guys on my Pixel phone later on when I get a new phone. Anyways, for Chromium-based browsers, it is recommended to configure site access to OnClick in extension settings. This configuration will allow users to manually control autofill functionality. I love using OnClick because my stuff doesn't just get autofilled. I can just click and choose whether or not it gets filled. Ooh, an update. Bitwarden has released version 2025.8.0 of the password manager to address the clickjacking vulnerabilities. It is also advising users to pay close attention to website URLs and stay alert for phishing campaigns to avoid using malicious websites. Alright, now that's the last article done. But before we X out of here, we are going to show this clickjacking thing. Yeah, fake download buttons. These fake download buttons can lead to serious consequences. And yeah, steal your password info, personal info. Yeah, we just saw that there. Slow down your computer, which is awesome. I love that. And open the door for even more harmful software. Naturally, we covered a story last week about how there was a malware that ended up opening the door for another malware. And how to spot fake download buttons. Look for an advertisement header. Many fake buttons are part of advertisements. Check for an advertisement header near the button or a small X to close the ad. Yeah, you've probably seen like those download buttons that just like pop up every now and then. Yeah, you may also see pop-up banners or windows that look like they belong to a website. They show download buttons, but they also have like little X's on them. X them out or just like leave the website unless you need to stay on there. Anyways, hover over the button before clicking. Hover your mouse over the button. Like this. I'm always moving my mouse around. In most browsers, you'll see the destination URL in the status bar at the bottom of the window. If the link doesn't match the site you're trying to download from, don't click it. For example, a real download link should direct you to the official page of the software you're downloading, not a third-party site. If the URL looks suspicious or contains random characters or an unfamiliar domain name, it's a red flag. Legit download links will have clear, recognizable URLs that will match the software's official site. So if I'm downloading something from this website, PCNetwork.com, it's going to start with PCNetwork.com if it's official. Avoid the giant buttons. You know the ones. We just saw them, actually. Avoid those giant buttons. They're, like, generally small. The small ones. And use an ad blocker. A lot of fake download buttons are embedded in ads. Yeah, by the way, so ad blocking might not really be something that Google Chrome and YouTube and whatever are all into. But especially for browsing, not so much videos, but definitely for browsing. Maybe sometimes videos, I don't know. Technology's always changing and people are always doing weird stuff with it. The FBI itself recommends using an ad blocker for cybersecurity reasons because of this exact nonsense. Pop-ups always show up, get you in clickjacking attacks. They get you to click on random stuff by accident. You know how it goes. Download from trusted sources. These are additional tips. Check for HTTPS in the URL. HTTP is outdated, less secure. HTTPS obviously isn't perfect, but it's like what 99% of the world uses now because it is more secure. If something's using this, it's something you either shouldn't access or something that nobody's really meant to access. You're just situationally using it. And no one else is really on there. Keep your software up to date. Be cautious with free software. Yeah, this is a big one now. A lot of us need to really know. And you use a virtual machine. You know, we'll make a video on virtual machines. Yeah, and I can lump it in with the Kali Linux tutorial. I'll make a Kali Linux tutorial. In that, I'll do virtual machines because I'm gonna run it on a virtual machine. But anyways, if you want to test new software without putting your main system at risk, consider using a virtual machine. Virtual machines are simulated environments within your computer that let you run software without affecting your primary operating system. It's an excellent way to safely test programs that may seem suspicious. Excuse me. By the way, let's go here. If you think you've downloaded malware, disconnect from the internet. You want to isolate it. It's like a virus almost. You want to quarantine it. You want to quarantine the infected patient. Your computer, unplug it from the don't let it get on the internet, and then once not on the internet, the malware can't send stuff over to the bad guy. Then with it not connected to the internet, it also doesn't damage the rest of the devices on your network. That's a big risk. Then you run a security scan with your antivirus software. I get from Avast. They kind of ask for paid stuff, but the free version is perfectly fine. Then you remove your suspicious programs, especially if they look unfamiliar or suspicious. Restore from a backup if you have backed up. Be sure to back up regularly, guys. I need to back up regularly too. But remember, the best backup you made is the one you don't need. It is better to be safe than sorry. And then call for help. You can call these people for help. There's a lot of people you can call for help. But anyways. Yeah, virtual machines will do that. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Sorry, I made it longer than it needed, than it was going to be. But I wanted to show you guys an example of clickjacking since I've encountered that before. I haven't been a victim of it, thankfully, but anyways, yeah. My throat hurts again, but also I hope I wasn't too annoying. I don't know why, but I'm really hyper tonight. So I was a lot more hyper and I guess energetic than my usual videos, which I think is good, but also bad. Hopefully this time I can enjoy listening to my voice in the recordings. But I hope you guys at least enjoy this. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you guys have a blessed day or night, that you're staying safe, digitally and physically. And yeah, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you all so much. This has been the Security Spot.